What a grand finale we have set up in the 2018 American Flat Track Championship. We are at the Meadowlands Mile presented by Ducati, East Rutherford, New Jersey, just outside of New York City. Brian Smith, a late season surge for the former series champ, will be a contender today. And some history as Kenny Coolbeth makes his final voyage. This will be his last season and his last race in flat track. Briar Bauman could have, should have, would have had 2 wins in a row coming into this race. He's on fire. In our singles division, Shayna Texter, always a favorite of the mile tracks. She'll be one to watch there, as will Colby Carlisle, last year's champ. He is a New York State native, going to have a lot of fans in the stands today. But the big star, it's the Big Apple, the New York City skyline right over the Hudson River from us. Jason Wygant, Ralph Shaheen, and Heather DeBow here to cover the racing. Cool temperatures. Let's send it down to Heather.
Thanks, Jason. This is a completely new venue for American Flat Track, and we have a great crowd on hand. These fans sure are in for a good show. One of the biggest differences of this mile is the black pea gravel. We're not used to seeing that shade of dirt here at American Flat Track, but the texture is very similar to the Lima Half Mile, which always puts on a great show. Speaking of great shows, our last outing at the Minnesota Mile, we saw a very unexpected finish, and we might see another one here tonight. A lot of unknowns for these riders, but one thing that they do know is that the championships are already locked up, so they're just looking to go out there and get the final win of the season.
Yes, thank you, Heather. Gloves are off for this one. Take us through this racetrack, Ralph.
Well, it's a wide racetrack, 90 feet wide, and you can see that black surface. Talking to some of the riders, they say kind of a granite feel to the stones and the marbles that you see here getting kicked up. And one thing is for sure, that roost, it's gonna hurt tonight.
All right, let's check in with Heather one last time before we go racing.
Well, Jason, we're here at the Meadowlands Mile presented by Ducati, and I have one of their riders with me now, Stevie Bonzi. Stevie, we're here in New Jersey. New York City's right across the way from us. A lot of eyes on this sport and this event. What does it mean for not only you as a rider, but Ducati to be presenting this event today?
For me, every race means a lot, you know, but for Ducati, it's big. They sponsored this racetrack. Got to go to a party in Manhattan, which was really cool, a Ducati dealership, and we had a good time. And I see coming out of turn 4 over there, all the Ducati fans, so it makes it really special. You know, it gives me that little extra to try a little bit more than I normally would, I guess. So yeah, it's really neat.
The Ducati motorcycle is very unique, different from any other twins that you see out here. Describe this motorcycle for the fans.
Well, yeah, it's definitely a lot different. Me and Shoemaker are fortunate enough to get to ride that bike this weekend. It's a 821 Monstrada, and it's a little unique. Unfortunately, I haven't had much seat time on it due to an accident that I had in Texas Motor Speedway. So as we're going on through these last races through the year, I'm developing it and learning more and more. And we're going faster and faster. And it's unfortunate that the season's over because I'm just starting to get comfortable on the motorcycle, and I'm starting to click with the team, and everything's going great.
Well, thank you for your time, Stevie. That's Stevie Bonzi. He's going to be putting on a show here for the Ducati fans in New Jersey.
Well, thanks, Heather. Let's see how he does. We'll take you through the storyline. Some qualifying racing earlier today. A good battle in heat race number 1. Briar Bauman getting around Henry Wiles. Bauman has been rallying as of late, so not a huge surprise to see him win. J.D. Beach, the road racer, great job finishing up in 3rd. Similar story we've seen all year. Jared Mees out front, heat 2.
Yeah, but you know, recently he hasn't been as dominant as he has been. It's kind of nice to see him get back to that really strong performance, maybe finish out the season with some strength. Watch these two guys, Jason. Yeah. Coolbeth, 3 championships on that number 2. Johnson, 2 championships on the number 5. Kenny obviously retiring. These two have battled for years. Good buddies, having a little fun at speed down the backstretch.
And the win in that one would go to Brian Smith, who won our last race in Minnesota. And watch Sammy Halbert here on the inside, the orange helmet, just able to make a pass to sneak his factory Harley-Davidson into the main event. Taking the final transfer spot, Smith keeps rolling with the victory. All right, so we are in a New York state of mind. You see MetLife Stadium on the other side of the property. That's where the NFL's Giants and Jets play. But who's going to be singing New York, New York when this one is over? Jared Mees would like his 11th win in the season, but a whole lot of riders have been surging as of late, looking to take him down. And our singles class coming your way also. Shayna Texter looking for a win at this inaugural Meadowlands Mile by Ducati. Stay with us. American Flat Track on NBCSN is brought to you by Harley-Davidson, the official motorcycle of AFT Twins. And by American Flat Tracker Clothing Company. Find your groove at AmericanFlatTracker.com. And by Law Tigers, America's motorcycle lawyers. Check out the point standings in our singles class of American Flat Track. Dan Bromley has already wrapped up the title. Ryan Wells has clinched second. The real battle, Shayna Texter and Colby Carlisle. 1 point between them for third. Here they are.
Minnesota Mile, we felt good all day. We fast qualified, won the heat, won the main. We had a bit of an issue with an electric problem in the main event, but we were able to win. Something up above wanted us to win.
In Minnesota, I won my heat race. Felt really strong on the bike all day. It's just the starts were really tough for me. I kept spinning off the line on top. It was kind of a hard surface with a little bit of marbles on top, and I just really couldn't get a grip off the line. But other than that, I felt strong, so that gave me confidence leading into the next round for sure.
I'm happy that we're at a mile. If I get third or fourth in the championship, it's not a huge issue to me because I've learned so much this year, and I'm so happy with how everything's progressed. And obviously, we're going to go for the race win today.
I mean, it's simple. I just got to beat him tonight. That's it. We've had 2 season-long battles following last year. He came out on top, and I'm hoping this year I can come out on top of him. As far as 2019, I plan on running the same team deal. Just don't have a manufacturer commitment yet, but I'll be out here with Shayna Texter Racing going strong.
I'm inking up a deal with Essence and Racing to be on a AFT Twins class Yamaha for the next few years, and I'm more than excited for that. I'm finally stepping up to the premier class, and this is where I want to be. This is where I want to win the championship, and it's the next big step in my life, and I have a great team behind me doing it.
We'll show you our storylines, qualifying races in singles. It's what mile racing is all about. The battle off the last corner on the last lap. Jesse Janisch has the lead. Carlisle, the number 1, able to overhaul him using the draft. And the Flying Tomato is flying into the main event. Jordan Harris, Andrew Luker right behind them. Heat race number 2. Ryan Wells leads. Great battle between he and Tristan Avery. Also Cameron Smith right down the line. Avery's charge too little too late. Wells holds on to take the win on his Honda. So we go to heat race number 3. Shayna Texter able to outduel this year's singles class champion Dan Bromley. Tanner Dean third. So we have a whole host of riders in contention to take the win tonight. It was great racing in those heats. We'll start out with Dan Bromley here. Yep, got the little number 1 because that's the number he will run next year as he's already clinched 2018 title. Carlisle will run the number 1 for the final time as last year's champ, but he's won several races this year, always a contender, and especially in the miles, Shayna Texter is tough to beat. He's won 2 races already this year. Here's your starting lineup. Also got to watch for Ryan Wells. All season long, singles class has provided great racing.
Well, it sure has, and some of our best. I think the one thing about Bromley is he's been super consistent on every style of racetrack, and we've got another one here tonight. This surface is really unlike anything else we've raced on this year.
And mile racing, always spectacular. It often comes down to the last turn of the last lap. So we'll see what happens here. The Meadowlands Mile is underway.
Boy, look at the slipping and sliding as they come out of the blocks.
Yeah, Tristan Avery on that 16 all over the place. Slicing to the inside is Ryan Wells, battling it out with the number 1 of Carlisle. Wells on the 94 into the number 1 position.
Well, this is a really wide racetrack, but look at how narrow the groove is. You can see it's such a different color already from the rest of the racing surface.
And third place is Shayna Texter on that 52. Wells and Carlisle going at it for the lead, and Bromley in 4th. So 4 big hitters, 4 riders that have all won races this year, duking it out, and Carlisle takes the lead.
Boy, look at that roost getting cooked up, Jason. It really, when you talk to the riders, say, boy, you don't want to be right in the thick of it. It hurts.
And look at how many lines we have in this corner. No one has figured out the absolute best way to get through yet. They're experimenting in every inch of this track. Bromley able to make some moves. He's up to 3rd now. Tanner Dean also in the mix. Same thing with Texter, but right now it's Carlisle ahead of Wells.
Now, one thing you can do to help yourself with that roost is move. You don't have to move far, but just a little bit. Problems here for Andrew Luker.
Oh, man. So he is out of this race. And meanwhile, you got to watch this 132 of Jesse Janisch. Saw him go to the inside, go from about 5th to 2nd in one corner. Janisch known as a specialist on the shorter tracks and the TTs, but he has picked up his game in the miles this year, and he's showing it as he holds off Bromley and Wells. Running that low line and making it work.
Yeah, except for a race leader. He's way upstairs.
So 2 different ways to get it done out here. Carlisle going to stick to the high line. I love the different lines here. Got to watch for the 38 making his move.
Well, it was just about 5 wide going into that corner.
And Wells now able to overhaul Tanner Dean on that 38, so he's back to second. Probably the 4th time he's been in that spot. Here comes Bromley on the outside.
Well, and Shayna right up the inside. And one of the reasons why you want to fan out going into those corners is to get away from that roost a little bit. You don't have to go far, but just off the hip of the guy in front of you, or the gal, there's a case with Shayna, but then you can tuck right back in coming down the straightaway. The good news is when you fan out like that, this track is so wide and the surface so racy, there's plenty of traction.
Oh, this is spectacular. 4 wide as they come into the corner. Texter running the bottom on the 52, trying to slice underneath Wells. Dean running it around the outside. This is a fantastic race, but for second with Carlisle trying to get away. Let's welcome a couple more riders into the battle. It's nearly back to the top 10 right now in a fight.
What I'm really surprised is with them running in that tight pack like that, especially down the straightaways, that they haven't been able to reel in Colby.
Yeah, they're taking time away from each other trying to make these passes. If Colby can stay far enough ahead where they can't get in his draft, he might be able to check out. So that's the job right now for the number 1 on the Estenson Yamaha. Texter has settled that battle for second at the moment. Let's see if she can try to run the leader down.
Well, let's see if they all start working together a little bit. A third of the race is already in the books.
15 laps here in New Jersey. Texter starting to pull away from Dean. Wells, good battle behind them with Bromley in that mix. Also got Max Whale, the Australian, on the green Kawasaki. He has made a name for himself the last couple of rounds, mixing it up with the leaders, and he's in this fight again. You see him down to the inside with the green helmet. Anyone's race, though, right now, but you can see, Ralph, a determined charge. Texter is starting to close.
Yeah, again, I'm surprised she's able to pull away from the rest of these guys with Tanner Dean holding back Ryan Wells and the rest from third.
All right, let's send it to Heather with an update on Texter.
Well, guys, the crowd just went wild as we were watching Shayna Texter catch the leader, Colby Carlisle. Now, if you remember, only 1 point separates them in the point standings, and Shayna really wants to hang on to that 3rd place to close out the season. When I spoke to her earlier, she said this mile is different. Unlike any other, you have to ride that 450 wide open. And, guys, remember, she is still looking for that mile win this season. We'll see if she can get it done.
Yeah, nobody's really lifting here. Look at her close in.
That's not lifting. That's going for the lead, and she's got it. So it took about 3 laps for her to reel Carlisle in. It took virtually no time for her to figure out how to make the passing. Oh, Colby almost threw it away on the outside.
Yeah, he bobbled a bit in there, and that's going to allow her to open up a couple of bike lengths of a gap between herself and Colby.
And then that furious pack continues to rage behind them. So impressive that Texter on that Husqvarna was able to break through from that field, pull away, go after the leader. Let's see what Carlisle can do. And whew, another mistake.
Yeah, boy, Colby bobbled again, but he's able to hang on to second for now.
Hey, all year he has said, I'm going to be more aggressive this year and go for wins instead of points. The opportunity is right in front of him. Texter and Carlisle going to take it down to the wire. It's the Meadowlands Mile presented by Ducati. Great racing throughout this field in flat track singles. Battle for third, it's out of control. Tanner Dean, Ryan Wells, Bromley, Whale, they're all in on it, but that's only for third. Up front, you have Shayna Texter, who has taken the lead from Colby Carlisle. Let's keep focused on this fight for the podium. It's a good one. Tanner Dean in the 38, trying to work the inside. Sent to Heather with an update on Bromley.
The number 62 of Dan Bromley is our current champion in the singles class for 2018. When I spoke to him earlier, he said he felt really comfortable on the bike today. The only thing they changed for this main event is they put a fresh rear tire on. But he told me his goal is to get yet another podium this season. The riders he's currently racing, there's some tight battles going on. It's going to be tough, but we'll see if he can get another podium here in 2018.
Well, for the moment, he was able to get in front of that pack. We'll see how long it lasts. Back to the leaders, though. Look at this. Colby Carlisle is right back there and takes the lead away from Texter.
Well, he's able to work that draft, carry that speed, but look at how much speed she's got in the corner. Through the center of the corner, she was better.
And now she's going to drift a little high because of all that speed she carried. Let's see if she can beat him off of turn 4. Yes. Now let's see if she can prevent him from drafting by. No, it looks like Carlisle's going to make the pass. Classic mile strategy here.
Well, let's see how good she is in the center of 1 and 2, and she's good here too. That's going to be the advantage for her as this winds down. Sure, Colby can dive in deeper into the corner, but she seems to be able to get the drive coming through the center, and that would be the one you need to get to the checkers first.
But it puts Carlisle in position. Sometimes second out of the corner is the place you want to be. They are fighting for it right now. Outside line attempt from Texter to try to reclaim the lead, and it works. So she's able to go wherever she needs to on the corners. But on this front stretch, when the checkered flag unfurls, who's going to be in the right position? What a race.
Boy, she is good. Good inside, good outside. I think she's got the better of him at this point. Even though he's good at the far end of the straightaway, I think she's good for the first half, and that's all you need to get to the checkers.
So here we go, back stretch. Texter over Carlisle there in full tuck, trying to get as aerodynamic as they can. Does Carlisle have a line picked out either in the corner or coming out of it onto the straightaway? Can he launch an attack? He held the lead for the first half of the race. He also made a move on the front stretch to win his heat race on the last lap. So he's got some strategy tucked away. Is Texter gonna stop him or not? Here we go into the white flag. He tried it. Was that a full effort from Carlisle, or you think he might be laying in wait?
Well, let's see if he tries to run deep into the corner. Is that a little smoke coming off of his bike, or is it just, it looks like he's smoking a little bit, whether it's the tire or something else. Here he comes.
Hey, last lap, last race of the year, run it till it blows. He's on the outside. How is Texter gonna play it? This is what we expected to see. It's gonna be side by side coming out of turn 4. Texter able to sweep back by from the inside. Carlisle, full send mode out of that corner. Now, he sets her up for the draft. It's gonna be a race right down to the line. And it's gonna be Texter. Unbelievable, she actually fought back. You see Bromley claim the 3rd place spot from that great battle all the way to the end. I thought Carlisle had it. Somehow Texter was able to overcome him despite the draft. He got the lead.
Yeah, but it looked like she almost did a bit of a NASCAR side draft as it came down the front straightaway just to get a little bit more of a oomph. And I'm telling you, she was really good off the corner. He might have ended up having her passed again by the time they got to 1, but she didn't have to worry about it. Look at how good she is through the center of the corner. He bobbled one more time, as did she. And right there was another little wiggle. He makes the run by, and then she finds another gear at the line.
Rarely do you see a repass. Let's send it to Heather.
Shayna Texter wins here at the Meadowlands Mile. Shayna, 3rd win of the season, 1st on a mile. But talk about that finish. Tough battle all the way throughout that race.
Oh my God, to lead that many laps and then all of a sudden 5 to go, here comes the flying tomato. And man, I had to work for that one. I really thought, you know, coming off at 4, I spun it up a little bit more than I wanted to give him that run. And man, we went across the line, literally banging elbows and bars, trying to fight for that win, because it wasn't, you know, it's not just a win. There's the points battle, 3rd place, and the points was on the line as well. So we secured 3rd place, and man, what a season to get a win for Husqvarna on the mile to end of the year, going into the off season. I'm stoked.
And that also means she will edge Carlisle for 3rd in the points, so he's got to be bummed on that. She did move over. They battled hard down that stretch. You could tell how much this race win and that 3rd of the standings meant to the two of them. There is your entire field here for the Meadowlands Mile. Let's hear from Carlisle.
Finishing a very close 2nd there in that main event is Colby Carlisle. Colby, you were so close. I know you wanted that win bad. Is there anything that you could have done differently there at the end?
No, you know, I wanted to draft her low coming off of 4, but I ran out of room. I ran up on her too quick, so I had to go high. And, you know, I actually ran my clutch lever into her arm. We got super tight, and she ran a great race. You know, we both did. It's super bittersweet that I wasn't able to beat her and, you know, clinch 3rd in the points today. But what can you do? It was one hell of a race, and I think the fans loved it, and it's one great race for my last singles.
Well, that explains it. You hit the clutch lever. Loses drive just for a moment. That allowed her to get back ahead. Here are your final series standings. As we mentioned, Bromley and Wells already had 1st and 2nd sewn up. And Bromley, the end of the year the way he likes to start it, podiums.
We were able to come back and be up top 5-ish, and working for third, and then Shayna got me and I was fourth, and then I kind of got stuck in the back and just worked my way back to about seventh. We're going in there hard, and then everybody fans out, and then when you're the odd man out, you're kind of limbo. So I was happy to be able to regain myself. To end the season with 13 podiums, all on different tracks. You know, I was able to win 3 different events and be the only rider to make every main event is definitely an accomplishment in my book. And I can't thank you guys enough for coming out here, the whole crowd at Meadowlands, and AFT for putting on a great event.
From here, we transition back to the Twins division, which for the second year in a row was dominated by the Factory Indian Wrecking Crew. We'll go behind the scenes with them, and then we'll check in with Kenny Coolbeth, racing his last pro race tonight. American Flat Track on NBCSN is brought to you by Indian Motorcycle. Be legendary. By E3 Spark Plugs, the official spark plug of AFT. And by Vance & Hines, the presenting sponsor of AFT Twins. We are back. It's the Meadowlands Mile presented by Ducati. We're getting ready for our Twins main event. But first, let's send it to Heather in the Dunlop Tire Tech Tip.
For tonight's main event, the riders are on the R8, which is the softer of the 2 compounds provided by Dunlop on the mile tracks. What they are going to do, though, is that they're going to flip that tire so they have a sharper edge on the inside of the tire to give them more grip when they get on the cushion and also to make the tire last through this 25-lap main event.
Thanks, Heather. The last 2 seasons of American Flat Track dominated by Indian, and at the very top, Jared Mees, who's won back-to-back titles. Let's learn more about that program.
I think what we're doing here is really important to Indian Motorcycle. Our whole history is about winning. Our brand was formed by 2 racers that met at a racetrack, and they were very successful. They went out and won many national championships. They won the Isle of Man. Winning really has an important legacy in the brand, and the way we've come back with 2 back-to-back championships speaks to that.
It has been an incredible 2-year run now that Mees is on the Factory Indian.
Jared is a true champion. I mean, I've never met anyone that works so hard every day to do one thing, and that's win. A lot of it's him and just his attitude and what he's done to prepare himself. And also, I would say the team that he's put around him is the best in the sport. Our goals in coming back to flat track were to help build the sport, number 1, to grow the sport of motorcycling, to give back. But number 2, we wanted to be champions. We didn't think they would, come this fast, but our goal next year is to win another championship. Competition's gonna be coming for us, so we're gonna work hard in the off season to make sure we're ready. 2019 is a big year for us. Right now we're celebrating Jared's championship, but by the end of the year we'll be announcing 2 new riders in complement to Jared. We signed Jared to another 2 years. He is the best in the sport, and we want to stay with the best, and Jared's happy running in Indian. He's had pretty good luck with us, so we're going to stick with Jared and celebrate his 2 championships for now, but by the end of the year we'll be announcing 2 new riders.
And as new riders come in, unfortunately, one is calling it a career. Kenny Coolbeth's last race is tonight.
Not only is it the last round of the season, it is the final round of your career, Kenny Coolbeth Jr. You had to sit out the last race, but we're here at a new venue in New Jersey. Tell us a little bit about your thoughts and your expectations going into today.
I just want to I want to be on the podium, if not win the thing. That's my goal. That'd be the icing on the cake. I feel pretty good for a cushion track. I feel pretty good. It's the track's kind of coming to me, so it's been a good ride, that's for sure. And I owe it to a lot of people. I've been around forever, and just want to do the best I can today. And like I said, I want to be on the box for sure.
We last interviewed you at Springfield. We asked you about where your emotions are at, but now we're here. It is actually the last race. So where are your emotions at in this moment?
They're not that bad. It's my wife's been kind of more emotional than me and my family, but me, like I said, I'm just kind of concentrating on the race mostly, but it's in the back of my head. It's like everybody knows, it's all I've done, for 25 years. So it's bittersweet. It's going to be a different life change, but I'll be around watching these guys sling some dirt. So it's good.
That's Kenny Coolbeth looking to go out on top and be on top of the box tonight here at the Meadowlands Mile.
Well, it's certainly possible. He has been quick all year long. When we return, we're going to go into the factory race shop for Vance and Hines, who builds the Harley-Davidson flat track machines. So a really interesting tour there. And then we're going to drop the flag for the last time and go racing here in New Jersey. Back here at American Flat Track in the shadows of New York City, where a lot of big business gets done. But on the flat track side, Indianapolis is home to the Harley-Davidson factory team.
Hey everybody, welcome to Brownsburg, Indiana, home of the Vance and Hines Harley-Davidson factory flat track team. We got the hauler behind us, the assembly area behind us, and this is where all the action happens.
So what ends up happening is a lot of guys see the guys out on the racetrack, the racers out there going around in circles, and a crew guy working on their bike, and they think, oh, you know, that's the team. Well, really and truly, that's nowhere close to the team. At the shop, you have machinists, you have engineers, you have dyno guys, you have engine guys, truck drivers. I mean, it's a big program.
So with our American Flat Track program, we have 2 haulers that maintain 3 full-time factory riders, Sammy Halbert, Brandon Robinson, and Jared Vanderkoy. After a race weekend, we'll bring the bikes back. We wash them, completely disassemble them down to the bare frame, check everything over, replacing anything that needs to be replaced, go back together with a fresh motor. Typically the motors will get tore all the way down, split the cases, check for rod bearings, crank bearings, and then reassemble.
Here we are in the factory team hauler. We keep all of our parts, pieces, gas, oil, shocks, electronics, hard parts, forks, everything you need to go racing with a factory flat track team. We couldn't do it without this hauler being at the track.
Because of the success of our drag racing programs, we won 9 championships in 12 years. Now I think we're going on 20 years total with the drag race program. It was kind of a natural segue to get involved in flat track. As far as Vance and Hines and Harley-Davidson is concerned, we're really just partners. They contract us to do the platform for the building of all the bikes, structuring the team, contracting the riders, and making sure that the team and the program goes forward. As you look around the shop, you can see that we have a state-of-the-art facility. I mean, it rivals just about any NASCAR shop in the country. So we can do anything we need to do as far as making parts and pieces. Making the right parts and pieces is the hard part. The interesting thing about AFT is that when we got involved 4 or 5 years ago, it was pretty much a grassroots sport. There was one factory team and he was racing out of a box van, and now you see that things are really starting to go. So it's going to be really interesting here in the years to come.
And there is one of the factory Harley riders, the 44 of Brandon Robinson. So we'll see if he can put the orange and black up toward the front in this. There's Jared Mees, won 10 of the first 12 races this year, but 4 races now have gone by since he's won another. There's Brian Smith, who won our last race in Minnesota, but only because Mees and Briar Bauman's machine, they both broke while running 1-2 in that. So all kinds of momentum shifts in this series as of late. Bauman's been strong, Smith has been strong, but Mees is the champ. Certainly can't count him out. Should be great racing tonight.
It should be, and this is a big, fast mile. So one thing that's going to come into play is fuel strategy.
Oh, okay, here we go. We're going to go racing 25 laps. Bauman on the inside of the 14. Doesn't get a very good jump. Mees has been so strong off the starts all year long, but it looks like the 4 of Brian Smith into the lead and going to grab that K&N Whole Shot Award.
Boy, look at that roost.
Yeah, the twins can really sling it compared to what we just saw from the singles division. So it's Mees and Smith, 2 old rivals. They've had many a classic duel on a mile track. It's a new facility for AFT here, but more things change, the more they remain the same when you see the 4 and the 1 dueling out front. Chad Kos is in 3rd.
Well, you can see all of the tear-offs floating around, especially down the back straightaway. Not only does this roost hurt, but on this misty night, you can see it on our camera lens, when that roost gets on your visor, it doesn't really go anywhere. It just sits there. And if you wipe it, then it smears. So the guys will be getting rid of those tear-offs, but how many can you go through?
Yeah, you can only put so many on there before it starts really impeding the vision. So that's a real strategy game. Kenny Coolbeth on that number 2, we've been talking about it, his last race as a professional, in 4th place right now, gunning for a podium. He's dueling with the 17 of Henry Wiles, the 14 of Briar Bauman, Chad Kos in the 49 just ahead. Brian Smith continues to lead on number 4.
Well, Jason, I talked about fuel strategy. In talking with Brian Smith and Ricky Howerton, that group, they're running the smaller gas tank on their bike. You can run a smaller one or a bigger one. This mile runs more like a speedway motorcycle race, and the fact that you're just wide open all the way around. So we've got Smith running the smaller tank, wide open all the way around. He could be 2 laps or more short on fuel if he doesn't conserve a little bit.
Ooh, hard to do that when you're in the lead. Let's send it to Heather.
One of the challenges right now in this main event for the riders is visibility. I got a chance to catch up with the 17 of Henry Wiles prior to this main event, and he was actually adding extra tear-offs to his helmet. He said that because of the mist out here, it makes it very hard to see even when you're by yourself. He said it's like running 120 miles per hour on the freeway with no windshield wipers. Not only that, the dirt immediately sticks to those tear-offs, so these riders are going through them quickly, and it makes it challenging for them to not only see the riders around them, but the track as well.
And again, like we were saying, you'll move just a little bit off the hip of the guy in front of you, let that stuff go by. You want to probably tuck to the inside because that roost is going to kick to the outside.
Well, you can just see the front number plates of these bikes as Jeffrey Carver and Wiles here duke it out. And remember how covered the front of the bikes are. That means the helmet visor will be covered like that as well. Man,
look
Brian
at that.
Smith, rough ride.
And you can just see how much he's kicking up back at Jared. Now, talking about that fuel tank again. Smith went with the smaller tank in the heat races and qualifying. And the problem is once you qualify the bike with the smaller tank, that's what you've got to race. The officials don't want you putting the smaller tank on for an advantage during qualifying and then the bigger tank for the race. Mies, on the other hand, is running the bigger tank. So he's going to have the advantage on fuel.
And at our last race, Briar Bauman appeared to have the win in hand, and he ran out of fuel. We say fuel strategy here. We don't mean pit stops like in NASCAR. You fill it, you go.
No, but the problem Smith has right now is he's trying to figure out, I've got to buy myself a lap or 2 of fuel somewhere. So instead of running like right here, he's probably not afraid to let Jared go by right now because now he can tuck in behind him, avoid that roost, and instead of having to run 100% wide open, he can run it 85 to 90% wide open, close in just like this, and sit there. He's got a long way to go, and then he can battle hard again the final 5 or so laps to go. I was not surprised to see Brian do this. Figured he was going to do it. It was in their strategy. Now it's just a question of how long does he sit there, and does Mies know that's the problem Smith has?
Yeah, and I wonder, you think Ralphie could use that draft a little bit? He's going for the lead right now. Maybe Mies does realize it and says, no, I do not want you sitting back there in second, kind of inducing him into a battle right now. What's amazing is as these two play the strategy game, they are still pulling away from the rest of the field. That's how strong they are. Smith going for it. Wow. So retaking the lead from Mies. This is going to be so interesting. We do not know the cards that these riders want to play. In a normal strategy, heck, you try to get the lead and check out. But in a mile, especially if you're throwing in that fuel strategy, we do not know what these riders want to do.
Yeah,
back
but see, look how easily he lets Jared get back by. So he's testing him, but he's also keeping mindful of his own strategy of what he knows he has to do here today. Mies, on the other hand, he's just flat out, and he can force the issue a little bit here, too.
Yeah, he'd love to either suck Smith into a battle or just pull away while Smith is trying to conserve fuel. But again, they're doing all this while getting away from Bauman, who is in third. And a good battle behind Bauman. You saw Carver in there, Wiles. But right now, it is two masters of the game, two of the best in the business, especially on these mile tracks, trying to set each other up. Smith down to the inside again. He used this two laps ago.
Boy, if Jared could just pull away, he could really hurt Smith because Brian just can't run that hard. You see how Brian ran deep in there, but he didn't hammer the throttle coming off. He just kind of let her run up in there and then let Jared get back in front of him.
Yeah, he's been able to get down low in every one of these corners, but again, we're wondering if he really wants to take the lead or not. He doesn't. So amazing, we talk about this every time we get to one of these mile tracks, that they can perform this type of strategy while dueling a couple inches away from each other at 100+ miles an hour.
Yeah, close it in, what, 130, 140 miles an hour? Two of the absolute best at it. And now we've got a third one sneaking into the frame here, too, to battle with these guys.
Yeah, Briar Bauman coulda, shoulda, woulda had 2 victories in a row coming into this one, except he didn't win the fuel strategy game at our last event. Let's see if he can close in. One last classic battle for our grand finale of American Flat Track season for 2018. Brian Smith on the 4, Jared Mees on the 1. Spent years battling each other for race wins and titles in this series. Mees has won the last 2 championships, Smith the year before that. And since Mees has already wrapped up this year's championship, there is nothing on the line except pride between these two to try to win here at the Meadowlands. Down to the inside goes Smith. He keeps showing Mees a wheel, but keeps not putting in a concerted effort to complete the pass.
Yep, watching that fuel gauge in his mind, right?
Yep, it's a long race, 25 laps. Ralph, you mentioned at the top of this race, Smith elected to go with a small fuel tank, so he cannot run wide open all the way around.
Yeah, and it's not a huge difference. If you looked at him close, the extension, when you talk to the riders and stuff, the top of the gas tank where you twist it open to pour the fuel in sits up a little bit higher, and that's where they are able to get a little bit more fuel in that bigger tank. It's a bit of an extension.
But it's just enough to probably make Smith nervous that he could run out down the stretch unless he conserves now. So
he gets way up there, doesn't he?
Yeah, all the way up to that edge of the cushion for Mees, and it almost backfired on him. Smith's still right there. They got a comfortable distance over third place, Briar Bauman. He's in a battle with Jeffrey Carver, Henry Wiles, J.D. Beach.
See, and this is the thing. Jared, as far as he knows, he keeps seeing and hearing, which is sometimes more important, that other bike right there, and he knows he has not been able to shake Brian yet. So he's got to go flat out here.
And Brian, another look to the inside. And another... Oh, he's not going to be able to yield this time. Mees goes too far wide, too far into the cushion, and like it or not, Brian Smith's in the #1 spot.
The boy, look at him come storming back.
Yep, and as you see on board here at Mees, we are suspecting that that's exactly the way Brian wants to play it. Every time he has a shot at the lead, he either doesn't take it or gives it right back. Mees, early in the season when he was at his absolute pinnacle, was able to dominate, even in these miles races, even with the drafting. He was able to pull huge gaps in the field. Not quite able to do it tonight.
No, he's still been strong all the way through the year, but just not as dominant. I don't know if they've slowed down a little bit or if the rest of the field has caught up a little bit.
Yeah,
maybe some of both.
Right. Once he wrapped up the title, it hasn't been quite the same. He's been in contention just like this, but we no longer see the giant gaps. Smith going to show him the inside again. And Mees able to shut him down. Ooh, that got really close. They crisscrossed center through the corner.
Jason, we've lost Bauman, but here comes Carver.
Yeah, and Carver, he was able to overhaul Mees at the very prestigious Springfield Mile earlier in the year. If he can bridge that gap, if Carver can get to these two while they're playing around for the lead, he could have the upset special. So don't count out the 23.
All right, we're inside, 5 to go now? So if that smaller tank is about 2.5 laps short of fuel, that means Smith's window is about to open when he can go for it. But where's Carver going to be at that point?
Yeah, he is definitely closing the gap. You can now see the third place rider as Smith keeps working this inside line, and he's able to edge him again coming off.
The other thing I'm surprised is that Jared hasn't moved down. He keeps going way up, and I know they're running wide open, but that bike of his doesn't seem to be as smooth up there. Look at how much more stable Brian's bike is out of that cushion than when Jared gets way up there.
Jared has given him the inside pretty much the entire race, so we'll see how he plays it. You would think for Smith it would seem like easy pickings for the lead, but maybe Mees will change it up when it counts as they continue to play the game of chess. Not going to be easy now, though, because Carver is continuing to close.
Yeah, this 23 laps here of 25 coming up. Yeah, this is wide open time now, and Smith slipped off that fourth corner. So he's going to have to forget about saving fuel at this point and start turning it up full throttle.
Yeah, because Carver and Bauman are there. You're getting closer and closer. Yep, there's third and fourth place. If these two keep playing the cat and mouse game, These next two are going to try to pounce. We're on to the backstretch. A perfect setup for a fantastic finish to a mile. Smith and Mees duking it out. Carver and Bauman trying to close. Will Smith try to actually take the lead this time? Whether he tried or not, he could not get it done. Mees holds him off.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. He's trying now. He just couldn't get it done there. And he can sense, we've seen him look over his shoulder. He knows Carver and Bauman are coming.
Another shot on the inside, and you can see Mees a little bit tighter now in the groove than he was earlier. It's going to be side by side coming off of turn 2.
Yeah, Jared squeezed him down a little bit, didn't he? And boy, Carver's on their exhaust pipe.
Okay, so now Carver and Bauman have an outside shot at it as well. A lap and a half to go for this season. Who will leave with the bragging rights? Who's going to win here in the shadow of the Big Apple? The inside line attempt again, but it's not nearly as effective for Smith now as Mees starts to pull away.
Boy, that really cost Brian, and here's Carver right in the mix. Smith is going to have to get moving.
He did everything he could just to hold on to that second place spot. It nearly backfired. Here we go, final lap. Can he get back to Mees' hip? He's been there all race long, but this time it's really going to count, and Mees doesn't want to let it happen.
Boy, Smith got a good run through the center of that corner, so now he's back in position. If he can get the spot going into 3 that he wants.
4 riders with a shot at it. Smith overtakes Mees down the backstretch. Mees is going to have to draft past around him. Can he get it done? We're coming off of turn 4. Carver's on the inside. So 2 riders with a shot at taking away. Smith all the way out in the cushion, trying to hook up. He's got a big enough lead. Let's see if anyone can pull it out. No! Brian Smith ends the season with back-to-back wins, and he outfoxed some of the best in the game to get it done here in the Meadowlands.
They all went as deep as they could into turn 3. As you see the results there, Bauman had a great view of everything taking place in front of him. It was really between the top 3 of Smith, Mees, and Carver to settle this one. Wait till you see the replay of this one. Here it is, that Motul move of the race. Smith shows the horsepower down the backstretch, gets the lead. They all run wide open into the corner and went way up into the cushion. Smith just didn't go as far up in there as Mees did, and Jared couldn't get the drive off the corner he needed. Here's where Smith gets into the cushion coming off of 4, and look at the gap at the line.
It was a leap of faith to believe he could lead him off. He did. Let's send it to Heather.
Brian Smith, your winner here at the Meadowlands Mile. Brian, win number 3. You're finishing out the season with 2 wins in a row on the mile tracks, which is what you wanted to do, but earlier you told me. 3 wins on the last 3 miles, 2 in a row, but you told me that this track is a flat track rider's dream. You dream about it at night. We can see why. What an amazing race. Tell us about the battle between you and Mees there.
Yeah, he was right there the whole time. I got by him early. He got back by me, and I was just following him. I said I want to wait till the end because I didn't want him to learn anything from me. I thought I was better than him, and I wanted to go when it counted, and that was the last lap. Jeffrey got in there and about screwed my plan up, but thankfully I knew if I passed him going into turn 3 on the last lap, he wouldn't have anything for me, and luckily it played out. And it was fun to sit behind Mees, the guy who's been kicking everybody's butt the last couple of years, and essentially just think about when I was going to pass him. There's not very many times in my career I've been able to do that, so I'm thankful for it today.
Well, I do call Brian the master of the miles. For a while, Mees had the edge on everyone. The pendulum swings back in the direction of the number 4 tonight. American Flat Track on NBCSN is brought to you by Harley-Davidson, the official motorcycle of AFT Twins. And by American Flat Tracker Clothing Company. Find your groove at AmericanFlatTracker.com. And by American Flat Track, America's original extreme sport. Sunoco Go the Distance Award standings. It's final. Henry Wiles has totaled the most miles ridden in practice qualifying and racing this year. So good job by the number 17 to collect that Sunoco Go the Distance award. Here are your final series point standings. Wiles also second to Mees. That's a career high for him. Bauman and Carver strong all season in the 3rd and 4th. Smith missed a lot of time with injury, still in the top 5. Let's talk to Jared.
Out of all the tracks we raced on this year, this was awesome to end it at this place. It was a old school dogfight duel. We were on the gas, stepped out sideways, and about 5-6 laps to go, and I'm like, man, I was able to draft him pretty easy and quick. I wonder if he could do the same. and I'm, you know, kind of thinking he was kind of holding back on me a little bit, but I didn't really want to let him lead just because I didn't have no tear-offs to spare. I was like, came in, I had nothing left, but awesome race. It was a lot of fun to do it and battle with him against that, and just a huge hats off to all my supporters, India Motorcycle and Rogers Racing SDI, for an amazing season, amazing, you know, career year, you could say, at least. So I'm looking forward to next year already.
10 wins in 18 rounds for him. Here is our podium. Carver with a great charge from behind to finish up in third. He'll be a contender next year as well. But this year was spectacular through and through, Ralph. It was a great one.
It really was. It was a legendary season for our champ, Jared Mees, a consistent season for our singles champion and Dan Bromley. But boy, there were some other guys that really make you look forward to 2019. Jeffrey Carver rode great. Smith has come on so strong here in the second half of the season. It's going to be fun. Can't wait to get to Daytona.
Absolutely. Thanks for watching all season long. For Ralph Shaheen and Heather DeBow, I'm Jason Wygant. We'll see you next year.